Hi friends, I am excited to see what you have come up with for your writing response or writing assignment 3. Take note that your writing assignment that is due for next Sunday at midnight is a revision of writing assignment 3. If you look on the assignment, you'll see what is expected of you of a revision. Please do submit a clean copy. I can still access your previous copy, whether with my comments or without my comments, so you don't need to show me the changes that you've made. What I want you to do is read the comments that I give you, ponder them, maybe share your paper with someone else. Take the time to read your paper out loud, even if it's to your cat, to your dog, alone outside on the porch, whatever it takes. You will find invariably that to stop and read it out loud, envisioning your audience in front of you and questioning whether or not each word is appropriate, each sentence is the right length. There's no magical length for a sentence. I actually disagree with English teachers who will say, this is too short, this is too long. If it is geared appropriately for your purpose and your audience, then it's just right, no matter what the length of the sentence is, as long as it's grammatically correct, of course. So, and then ponder your paragraphs. Does each paragraph have a point that will make sense to your specific audience? And is there a cohesive thesis that ties the whole thing together? I will do my utmost to get those returned to you as quickly as I can. I tell you, I start every week with high aspirations for turning your papers around quickly. I realize that I'm pushing it with the 7-day mark each time this term so far. Honestly, it's just my department chair role that gets the best of me. I have way too many meetings, and I'm working till midnight most every night. So I'm doing my best. This will be a high priority this week because I understand you can't revise if you don't have my comments. So just know that I'm aware and I will get it back to you. My goal is midweek. Sooner would be better. Later, I'll just have to say I'm sorry. I hope not. So my goal is midweek. Let's talk for a moment about your grammar checks. We already clarified there are only 10 points out of 1,000, so it's not a do or die kind of thing. But I want you to be self-aware about them. Really what I'm concerned about is your own ability to self-check, to recognize, okay, I'm not doing so well and I'm not sure why. How can you seek help? How can you dig more deeply into the simple math of writing well? I tried to write that book very simply so that if the issue is identifying that main verb, you can find the couple pages that cover that and just read through those until either you understand it or you're able to articulate what it is that you don't understand and seek help. You should be earning a 9 or a 10 on all grammar checks. I mean, it makes sense. If once in a while you miss one, that's fine. These are not gotcha grammar checks. These are very, very basic comments that any educated adult should know. And if you don't, you invariably will have errors in your work that you're not even aware that you're making. I can help you this term to learn the rules so that you understand how to do well on the grammar checks and therefore how to produce writing that is grammatically correct. So use me, bring the questions my way. Please don't ignore a score of 6, 7, 8, let alone one that's 5 or below. Pay attention, look through what my comments are. It's a little bit hard with track changes sometimes to make clear what is mine, what is yours, so I hope I'm doing that well for you. And ask me questions. I'm certainly not offended. That's what I'm here for. So ask me questions. You could take a grammar check that's been assessed and go to the Writing Center and sit down with someone, whether online or face-to-face, and ask for some help. This is your education, and this degree is your chance to walk out not only with a piece of paper with the confidence knowing that you can write an email that's not going to have any errors. This class is your chance to perfect that. Other classes will move along quickly with content. You will get marked down for the errors, but it's not going to be focused as much on correcting those or how to correct those. This is your chance to perfect APA format, and this is your chance to figure out what are the rules on grammar that you're not quite clear about and what can you do to correct them. So please take advantage. Pretty much everything you need to know at this level is in the simple math of writing well, but if it feels overwhelming to look at the whole book, ask me. I can point you where you need to go. Let me just give you a quick summary, for example, of finding the main subject and the main verb. Those may feel like you're dipping back into grammar from 3rd grade, for some of you sophomore year of high school, whatever it might be. You have to know this. You have to know this so that you know whether or not you have a run-on sentence or a sentence fragment. The way that I see language and the way that I would see something on the page is to ask myself first, Is there an action word in this sentence? Invariably, if there is, it might be your main verb. It might be. Then there are some other tricks beyond that. So for example, if you have a simple sentence, the dog ran, what's the main verb? Think what the action is. It's ran. Once you find the main verb, you ask yourself, who or what did the action? Who or what ran? The dog. So your skeletal sentence, the simple mathematical formula sentence, is dog plus ran. At your level, do you get sentences like that? Yeah, not very often. So I'm fully aware of that, but I want you to be able to do it at the simplest level so that you can then move on to the higher level. It's a little more difficult when you have a variation of, for example, the verb to be. Is, are, were, was. We use it all the time in English. If you see a variation of the verb to be, guess what? It's really simple. It's always the main verb. It's the main verb. So you can know that that's going to be the main verb and then ask yourself who or what the subject is. If you have a long, complicated sentence, look at anything around you on your desk, whether it's a book or it's our writing assignment for writing assignment 3, whatever it might be. Find a sentence and ask yourself if you can find the main verb. If there is what looks like an introductory clause or an interrupter at the beginning, and you're going to notice it because it will have a comma, if it's something that you could cross out and the heart of the sentence remains, then it will be an introductory clause, and I would train yourself to mentally cross it out. Get it out of your way. You will also find concluding clauses or interrupters at the end of a sentence that you can also cross out. Other things to look for. This is your high-speed grammar lesson, by the way. Other things to look for, and this was in your test and in some of your reading. An infinitive verb. That means to run, to walk, to read, to write, will never be your main verb. Cross it out, literally or metaphorically. So if we're in a face-to-face class, I have students doing this up on the whiteboard over and over and over in front of each other until we feel very comfortable crossing these things out, getting them out of the way. ING verb. If it is an ING verb, running, walking, sitting, playing, all by itself without a helper verb, it will never be your main verb. That's another one. Cross it out. Get it out of the way. Another thing to look for, prepositional phrases. If you don't have any idea what that means, you can Google it. The information you find may or may not be accurate, or you can look in the Simple Math of Writing Well. It's talked about in there. A preposition is a little word like for, to, those kinds of words. I'm not going to go into the big long list. You can find 200-300 of them if you actually Google preposition. Prepositional phrase, the definition might be sketchy, but if you look up preposition, you should get a sound list of what they are. A prepositional phrase starts with a preposition, is usually 3 to 5 words long. I walked to the church. To the church starts with a preposition. It's 3 words long, and it ends with a noun. That is a prepositional phrase. Your main subject and verb will never be in a prepositional phrase. Cross it out. There's some sentences that I'll put on the board in a face-to-face class. It's just a sentence that I pulled out of a book. I haven't tried to write it to look this way. And it will have 4 or 5 prepositional phrases that we can cross out. Imagine a long sentence. We'll cross out 4 or 5 prepositional phrases, maybe an ing verb that's all alone, and an infinitive verb that's all alone, an introductory clause, and all of a sudden, we have way at the beginning of the sentence, book, and we have way down here towards the end of the sentence, whatever the verb might be, was. But they're separated by all of these interrupting clauses or verbs or prepositional phrases, and therefore hard to identify. But once you cross those things out, all of a sudden what will emerge is the simple math of the sentence. You need to learn how to do this, okay? Ask me if you have questions. I'm happy to entertain them over email, and I'm always happy to meet with you or talk to you on video conference. Blessings on your week. I look forward to your papers.